Well, good news is we bought a good amount of cars. We bought a good amount of cars that we can sell. Bad news is that Ford Freestyle that I bought it, took it to Wilson, had them fix the body damage, just to find out it's the freaking transmission. The freaking transmission. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? It. The crazy thing about it drives and it shifts fine. But when it's at an idle and when it's at neutral, I guess it's something with the Ford Freestyles and the CVT transmissions or something like that. But I'll show y'all the CB. I'll show y'all the trans. I'll show y'all it when I get down to LKQ or wherever. When I get down to LKQ, and I'll show y'all the freestyle if y'all don't remember it from videos. But it's something with the CVT transmission that I like when it's in parking and neutral. It makes like they call it like helicopter noise. Um, at first, my thinking is like it's a little grinding noise. I'm thinking like okay when I pick it up from the auction, I'm like oh, a little noise, but it ain't like bad or anything like that. So I changed some mounts. I'm like okay, because when I put it in gear, it had a little thump thump. So I'm thinking like okay, maybe it's just the mounts is bad and it's just pressure and it's just a little vibration making a little noise. So I'm like okay, go ahead and change the mounts. Go ahead and do that and the noise is still making, then I further do my research, and it's a thing that happens with those Ford Freestyles. Sometimes some people buy a good one and it lasts forever and a day. Some people buy a bad one and it lasts only 60,000 miles. I guess it's because it's like a little bearing or something, or I forget what they say. It's something in the transmission, like a bearing or something like that, that just goes bad over time. I mean, just goes like completely bad, and it causes it to make that noise. And when you put it in gear, because when I'm thinking like, okay, when you put it in gear, usually when you put something in gear, and like it's usually mount, it's mainly mount related. So like you put something in gear, and boom, it makes a thumping noise, or the noise goes away because it went in the gear. So whatever pressure that it was on, like the motor or whatever, it's off now. So you're doing that, um, but that wasn't the case. So I did all my research, and had my uncle, that's a mechanic, check it out, and you know it's the noise in the transmission. Yes, the car drives and stuff, and it runs and drives and everything like it's supposed to. The heat and AC and everything drives like it drives and does that. But I'm not going to sell that car to somebody. I'm going to just go ahead and just junk it to the salvage yard. I'm not going to put a new transmission in there because by the time I got paid what 700 for it. They LKQ said they give me 770. I had to pay Wilson $60, so I'm basically just taking the car from there to there and basically just basically just end up breaking even. I mean, a little bit under even because I did have to pay my uncle to check it out, and then I had to put some gas in it. So a little bit under even, but I mean, I'll take losing 50, $60 over you losing three, four, five, $600. Something like that. But yeah, it's something in the transmission. And I'd rather just sell it to the salvage yard because, like I said, if I take it to if I try to sell it, if I was like being one of those people that was like, oh well, the noise goes away when it's in drive, and you try to sell it like, oh yeah, and nah, because then eventually the transmission will go out. Transmission is going to eventually freaking go out. So nah, and then like I said, replacing the transmission, so I would have to, go find a used transmission, then you put another CVT transmission in there, and then you can put one in there and liable to run into the same problem again. I mean, it probably won't run into the same problem, but you then you have to go buy a transmission. Then you have to pay somebody to take one out, put one back in. So you're gonna be looking at or you gotta take it to go get it rebuilt, and then rebuilding is probably like rebuild used to be kind of cheap, but now it's a little bit up. So and then it's CVT, so I don't know if there's transmission even more expensive. So you'd be looking at maybe 2,000, 2,500 on the transmission rebuild. Plus that, so now you got 3,500, 4,000 in a vehicle with almost 200,000 miles on it, or 200,000. I'm not sure about the exact miles on it, but you have almost 4,000 in the old freestyle, and then what I'm supposed to sell it for? You know, it won't make any sense. Best thing to do, learn how to take your losses, cut your losses. And that's the thing. Some people don't know how to take losses. I mean, it's not that big of a loss, but I mean, what can you do about it? I mean, it's really nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing that you can do. I mean, vehicles. It's and the crazy thing about it, when I bought the vehicle, the noise wasn't really that bad. It wasn't like nothing crazy or anything like that. But then, you know, the no like that's the thing with buying used vehicles. That's why I always tell people, like, one day one day the car is just fine. The car is just fine. The next day, the car is no good. Something can go wrong on the car just that instant, like that quick. So that's why, like, people don't realize, like, why vehicles are sold as is. This is the main reason why vehicles are sold as is. Because you never know what happened. Like, the car can be fine, the next day it's no good. Like, one day your transmission shifting just fine, next day it's slipping. One day your motor's just fine, next day you go start it up, it's rattling, it's knocking at whatever. It's no exact science, to this, but we're gonna go see. I see how LKQ. Tired of, I know y'all tired of me ranting. So look, we at LK. We there. But the Freestyle motor transmission. Wouldn't fix the body work for nothing. Fixed a little piece. Somebody get them a decent car. I mean, they'll get some good parts off of here. They'll get good seats, but I ain't about to do all that. Crazy. I'm detailing Nathaniel. Detailing Norton. I didn't need to detail. Let me take this in, get my check, and see what we get. I'll tell y'all what we got. Air was blowing the cold. I'm like, air blowing cold. And I'm like, man, I ain't got no time dealing with no transmission. Well, we got a check for $770.
My motherfucking shop, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if transmission, I mean, if everything didn't go up nowadays, I probably would have thought about it. But price to fix everything is so expensive. A transmission rebuild used to be fairly decent.
Yeah. That ain't tell your ass up for a rebuild transmission. $1,200.
Nah, it's more than that. Transmission rebuild way more than $1,200. Cause I remember when Irvin took that Silver Impala he used to have when he first bought it, and got the transmission rebuild, and that was what, 3-4 years ago. And that was $1,500. That was 3-4 years ago. And then Drew took his Mustang. That was like $2 grand, 22. So I know a transmission rebuild. I know a transmission about $3 grand. You can buy better off just buying another car. Yeah. Or you would have to go search for a used transmission. Which
hopefully you can find one at the Savio. Motherfucker been bashed in the side.
Yeah, but hopefully they didn't have. And hopefully the reason why it's there, they didn't have the same problem you had.
Yeah.
But
hopefully you must say like.
But they said that you could have just maybe kind of just, if you knew somebody that worked on the transmission, could have just took it down and like changed their bearing and input shaft bearing.
Yeah.
Input shaft. I think it was called input shaft bearing or something like that. But I mean, that's still transmission work.
Yeah, you just gotta know somebody
want to do it, and then you end up, and then by the time you spend doing transmission and fixing it and parts and everything, you probably have another $1,500, and you have too much money in it. Then by the time you try to sell it ain't gonna make no sense. I'd rather just take my $30 to $50 loss and move on and make it back up on the next car. Yeah, appreciate everybody. We got $770 for the old Ford. Like I said, it ran it like when I drove from the lot. It ran and drove good. The AC was blowing, it was shifting, but I'm not about to sell that to nobody in person. Transmission. Nope.
Motherfucker got a good motor. I know what the LKQ gonna do. They gonna pull that motherfucker over to the other.
They gonna take the converters off of there because they probably got 2 of them on there.
Yep. Then they gonna take that motherfucker and snatch that motor out and just send it to their warehouse where they got good motors and transmissions there.
Yeah. They gonna snatch the motor out. They gonna take the converters out. Then they gonna part the rest. Then they gonna part the rest of it out because the seats was in good shape. The seats we had no rips and tears, so they gonna get all the seats and doors and fenders and bumpers and headlights, and then they gonna crush it.
Yep. Put that motherfucker on the LKQ parts hotline. Some motherfucker gonna be like, well, I need a motor for a Ford Explorer, whatever that motherfucker is.
You know, with Ford, you gotta buy all the Ford parts just specifically from Ford. So you know, if you can come out to the salvage yard and save you a couple dollars, you're gonna come out to the salvage yard and save you a couple dollars. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already, you know, like this video, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.